R. Kelly's the best drummer I've ever heard.
I didn't know that he could play stuff.
The best drummer you
Best
ever
drummer I've ever
heard?
heard.
Ever heard?
Hands down. Hands down. Best drummer I've ever
Ooh,
heard.
hey, we need to start these cameras. Welcome to the first episode of the Inside Notes podcast with Rob Miller, and this is my first guest, Reggie Bernard. Right?
That's what we're doing?
That's what we're doing, right? Yeah, he's well-known MD, musician, singer, pastor now.
Yeah.
Right, well known around the Phoenix area. It seems worldwide now. Reggie's all over the place, right?
We're going to call it global.
You're that guy that everybody knows. Everybody knows Reggie.
Yeah, right place, right time, man. That's all it is.
Yeah, but hey, the work speaks for itself.
God bless you.
Right. So first of all, tell me how you got started as a musician.
Okay. Shout out to my uncle, my mom's brother, my uncle Earl. I was actually born out here in Phoenix, but only by a few months. My parents had just moved out here from Chicago. So I was that kid that went back to Chicago every summer for like 14, 15 years.
Wow.
And my uncle had a drum set in his bedroom. He still lived at home. And everybody went to work during the day,
Right.
and during the summers, and so I just went for it.
So drums was first.
Drums was first.
I'm only laughing. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm laughing because we had this conversation earlier, and I said that most of us in church
starts on drums.
All right, okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
And you have the good ones that stay on drums, and then you got the ones that like, let me move on to something else.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. Vocals was always a thing. I was super shy about it though, but I would listen to music and just kind of sing along with it in low tones in the back seat, of the car where mom and dad were driving places. And then I had a little Easter solo when I was 3, but at that moment you can't really tell,
Yeah.
And so it was when I was in school in 3rd grade, and my school had like this mandatory elective for choir, and then I had this solo. It's funny what you remember, bro. I had this little solo, and even my parents were like, "Where'd that come from?" And from there, it kind of branched out, and then opportunities after opportunities after opportunities was really just all vocals and drums for a little bit, until I got older and realized that I was nowhere near as good as I thought I was on drums because there was really good drummers. So I went to college in Ohio, just outside of Cleveland. And the summer before I went to Ohio for college, my grandfather on my mom's side, my step-grandfather, had passed away. And they asked me to sing Jesus, You're the Center of My Joy. And most of my family did not know that I had been singing for a while. So came out there and I did what I had to do,
Yeah.
And so my cousin, rest in peace, his name is Billy. He was linked up with Kells. And after that funeral, he called Kells. He's like, "Yo, my cousin can sing. Like, he can sing." And so they had some conversations, and believe it or not, Kells flew out to San Diego where I was living, in my mama's living room, and made me sing for him again. And he was like, "Miss Holmes, your son is talented. Like, he's got a gift." And my mom, my mom, she was like, "Absolutely not. Nope. That would no. We're not doing this creativity thing. Like,
Right.
he's going to be something different." My dad is vice president of a bank. My mom was a lawyer. I was truly a Huxtable. So
Really?
creativity wasn't a thing in my family, And so he promised the Lord and 2 white folks. He was like, "Look, I will take care of your son. You have my word." And so we tried it for my senior summer, and I did like a domestic thing, singing backgrounds for Kels. And that's where I got exposed to the actual industry. And that's when I learned that the currency of relationship is far greater than any other currency you can ever have. Who it's your number one asset.
Right.
And so being in a position to meet and connect is so huge because now, especially now in this generation, there's so many people who can play. Everybody can play.
Yeah. Right.
But it's who you know and what you do off stage that matters. And so when you pick up the phone and you just be like, yo, I'm just checking in. How you doing? How's your family? This, that, and the third. That sticks with them. And so when it comes time to put pieces together, the first people they call are the people that are on their brain. And that's the people who just say, hey, how your kids doing?
Right. Well, that explains some things. You know, my question was always like, how does this dude Reggie know like everybody? And I guess that's why, because you are one of those people who you will call just to check up on people. You do that, right? So I see why people, will latch on to you and Reggie is not just somebody who I know musically, but that's my boy, like for real,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, that answers the question, because literally whenever I bring up people are, where you playing at lately, Rob? And when I mention your name, everybody, oh, I know Reggie. Everybody knows Reggie, right?
Yeah, it's been a long road. And now that I'm getting older, I feel like Uncle Reg, which is why the whole Instagram handle is like that now.
Yeah.
Everyone calls me Unc because I'm getting older and this new generation's coming in. And like I can't say I feel like brother to them because I'm too old.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, what it is you see somebody that you can build a relationship that's non-transactional.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think part of that is because when I meet people and I feel like they shake my hand, as soon as they shake my hand, it's like, this dude only is shaking my hand because he wants something from me.
Yeah.
And so then I have to ask myself, like, do I make other people feel like that when I meet them? And so I go out of my way to not do that by just checking in.
Right.
And just little conversations. If you drop like a tidbit in our conversation about your kids or about your wife going through medical school or your soccer game, whatever, then a couple weeks later you text, hey, how's the soccer game?
Yeah.
And then but you got to it has to be organic.
Right.
And then unfortunately that will weed out the people who are genuine and the people who are disingenuine. But then when it comes time for you actually to need something, then it's like, oh, of course, yeah, I'll do anything for you.
Yeah.
Because you spent a whole tenure of building a relationship outside of what do you want from me.
Right. Okay, so you've mentioned church. So of course, I want to get into, you know me, I got.
And we're here.
Here we go. So it's hard to talk about church music in particular, and not talk about the differences in what we'll call CCM church versus what we'll call gospel church, right?
Yeah.
So the differences I've seen recently, since I got into my CCM time, which was started by you. You got me involved in it, right? So the differences I've seen, number one, are the being organized on one side, and the other side not being so organized, but it's kind of a trade-off. You kind of have to pick your poison, if I could put it that way. Whereas one side, you get this musical, this feeling, this certain feeling, not only from the music, but the service in general. It's just a certain feeling that's there, versus you get the organization. Everything's organized, everything's on point, but it feels like it's something I don't feel.
Yeah, I get it. When you go to church, in a black church or a gospel church, it's an experience.
Right.
It is akin to going to a live concert for an artist.
Right.
And when you go to a CCM church, it's like playing the record for that artist.
Right.
And both of them have their drawbacks and their benefits. I'm always saddened because it seems like no one has really mastered the art of getting the best of both worlds.
No.
And I don't understand why, because I think there's enough of us who have crossed over. Actually, no, I do understand why. And now we finna go there.
Here we go.
Yeah, because I know, without mentioning names, I know there's several people who, when I crossed over to CCM land, I was at CCV, which is one of the biggest churches, not just here, but in the country.
Right.
And I got exposed to a level of resources and organization that I didn't even know existed.
Right.
And so, again, because we just talked about the networking and the wanting to build other people up, the first thing I did, I called 17 other people like, yo, did you even know that we had Planning Center and Multitracks and
Right.
Ableton and everything and playback? And so most, if not all of the people that I called from jump, the first thing they did was they scoffed at it because there was a cost.
To pay for Planning Center?
Yeah, there was a monthly subscription fee or there was a training process. I mean, the cost wasn't just monetary. There was a cost. And so the cost was something that would be antithetical to business as usual, which allowed me to understand that there were a lot of gospel churches, gospel-based churches that were just, unfortunately, they were complacent and complaining. That'll preach.
Right.
They were complacent and complaining. It's like you don't really want to change. You just want to complain about it.
Right.
And we talked
Right.
about this before. And part of that is because they found too much validation in the spontaneous emotional response. We would come in drunk and late and unprepared. we would have rehearsal on Thursday, go over 10 songs, and on Sunday not do none of them.
The whole set list
The whole
changed by
set
Sunday.
list is gone. But the craziest thing is, and I say this all the time, the hardest musical job on earth is to be an organist in a small black church on Sunday morning.
Yes.
Because you don't have any of those resources, and somebody will get up in the pulpit and sing a song on no notice, and you have 3 seconds to figure out what the song is, what key it is, what tempo it is, all of that. And if you don't, then you have a whole church of Simon Cowells looking at you like,
Yeah.
what is your problem? And how come you can't pick this up even though you already have a talent that far exceeds mine?
Okay, now see,
And there's a lot to unpack right there.
and that's exactly the way it is. But does that breed a more capable or more prepared may not be the right word, but does that breed a musician who's more able to handle different situations when they come versus somebody who may have grown up in the CCM world may not be able to handle that, that kind of situation if it comes up. What if your computer crashes? Now you don't have your stems and your click and stuff. What do you do now? That one from the gospel arena, it's like, hey, it's fine with me. In fact, that happened to me once. And this is a whole story that I may not go all the way into. This is at a church that we both know of.
Okay.
Locally, CCM Church. And what happened was it was my first Sunday at this particular church. This was my first CCM experience with Ableton and the whole thing, right?
Okay.
So I'm playing and stuff, and I at this point I didn't know that we were supposed to just let the set list play from A to B. Just hit the space bar and roll. I'm thinking, well, maybe we'll stop because I'm used to some other stuff. I'm used to, whatever happens, right?
Play in between.
Yeah.
Next track.
I was thinking, well, maybe that could happen. I don't know, right? So we're in the middle of the set, and the bass player, who we both know really well, his name is Ramon. I'll say his name because this is just a joke. We just having fun, right? So Ramon,
Right.
he motions to me like in the middle. I'm thinking, because I didn't really know him yet. I'm thinking, is he saying to stop the? Or is he? What is he saying? What he was doing was trying to help me out. He was saying, remember, don't stop the tracks, right? And when he said, I think, because he, first of all, he's 100 feet. You know how big that stage is over there, right? So I'm thinking, like, what is he saying? Maybe he said stop. So I hit space bar. Boom. Track stop.
Oh no.
Track stop. So your guy, the worship leader,
Oh boy.
he's thinking, what's going on? So he just starts singing something off the top of his head, right? So I'm thinking, yeah.
Right, I'm going for it.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go,
yeah,
right? It was all fine for me,
man,
right?
get him, Rob.
But then I got called in the office after the service was over. You know what I mean? But the fact that the tracks and the click stopped, I didn't feel lost at all. I felt like, yeah, well, now I could just create on the spot, no problem. Everybody else was thinking, uh-oh, we're gonna sing, we're gonna drown right now. I'm thinking, oh, I'm swimming now, I'm ready to go, right? So I see the differences in both sides, and I can't really say there's a right or wrong way.
I can, but go ahead.
If I had to choose though, But I mean, because we make these claims, like, well, well, God put this on my heart to, play or whatever, right? Some of us, I mean, do we actually have that ability to just play off the top of our heads? Is that a God-given ability?
I mean, yeah, it's a God-given ability. I mean, the minstrels clearly have a gift that God did not grant everyone. Like even in the Bible, it says that not all will speak in tongues, not all will prophesy,
Right.
not all
Right.
will play keys like Rob Miller.
Okay.
But the thing is, to have a gift and to use your powers for good and not evil, that's a
For
completely different.
evil?
That's a different conversation because having the ability to be spontaneous, but coming from a place of trauma is that's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah, we have 1,000 tunes swimming in our head
Yeah.
because we just had to have them available.
Yeah.
When someone just walked up randomly, grabbed the mic and said, "Just wanna praise you forever," and so you just had to go there.
Had to.
But they always say like those who know better do better, and you can have that gift for when the tracks stop.
Right.
But here's the thing. You can, I know this sounds really crazy. You can plan for spontaneity and still work out. The other side of the coin does not work.
You're right.
When you're
right.
all free, then you have a structural issue.
Yeah.
Now you have a problem where you get out of church at 3:00. Now you have a problem where if the organ Leslie does not work that day, you have no backup.
Stuck. Yeah.
Right. Now you have a problem where during COVID, you have no resources to keep your church going.
Right. Right.
Despite the doors being closed.
Right.
Now you have a problem because you have relied on passing baskets instead of creating an online portal for your giving that when the world stops, so do you. There's a lot of different things that will allow the spontaneity not to just be in the set list, but just to be in the planning of your day where you have a backup when you have a structure.
Right. Right.
When you have all your chips or all your eggs in one basket and that basket has a hole in it, you're stuck.
Yeah. You're right. That's a good point. That's a good point. I've heard musicians say from the gospel side, they would say, well, in the CCM world, you're kept in a box. You have to play. You have to stick to a certain chord structure. You can't really get out of that box. And so I was thinking maybe it was gonna be like that before I crossed the line and went over, right? But then I realized, if once I show that I'm skilled enough to be in that box but still show my individuality, if that's the word, then I'm fine. Because it's still in me. I'm not just gonna play, the 1-6-5-4 just the way it is. You're gonna get a little bit of Rob Miller here and there, but I'm skilled enough. I would think that's the goal anyway, is to be skilled enough to be able to do that and not, step on anybody else's toes, not do anything that's gonna make the singers turn around and look like, what is he doing? I'm just kind of stay in that box still, but still, do what I feel like I need. There's a need I feel to be me and create some.
One day I'm at the Avondale campus and it's an evening thing. And one of the pastors gets up and he has a speaking moment. And I'm underscoring him. And I'm going for it. Like I'm absolutely going for it, right? I look up and there's 600 people in the room. And not one person is paying me any attention.
It didn't matter to them. They had no idea what was going on.
No idea. No idea how complex my composition was. They had no clue.
I know where you're going, and I think I know what my response is going to be. You can finish it, but I think I know.
No. I want to hear what you have to say. Go ahead.
Okay, so the fact that they didn't, I get it. They didn't understand. So what you were playing probably didn't matter to them, but it mattered to you. That's what I was saying earlier. Like you have this need to play. Like I just need to play because this is for me. This may be your version of worship. I'm worshiping right now.
This
is for me. Yeah.
This is how I Worship.
And I don't see anything wrong with that. So I had an issue. I have a story at the same church I was talking about earlier, right? This is one of the first couple Sundays there. I'm filling in for you, right? And I'm here and I'm doing my thing. But I stayed in the box for the whole set. It was cool. Everything was fine. But then we come back out to close the service and follow behind, the pastor as he closes the service out, right? So I had been told, hey, just play the click track, no stems, right? Just play the click and play the chorus to whatever the song that was chosen. Just play the chorus, right? It's all right, cool, right? So we get out there, I start the click, and I'm playing the chorus, but it's just me. Nobody's playing yet, right? So I figured, okay, I'm playing the chorus, but I'm not gonna play it, the same way over and over. But worship. I'm gonna do my worship, right? So I'm playing the chorus. I'm kind of killing it. I'm doing my thing, right? Even your guy, the worship pastor, was in the mic. All right, Rob, you killing. But there was another guy who also had a microphone that was in my ear. Rob, he said, play the chorus. He didn't even know I was still on the chorus because I'm playing it so many different ways. Play the chorus, right? He has his guitar, right? And he's strumming in its mic. Play the chorus. I'm like, hey, I am on the chorus. I'm still doing my thing. Go back to the chorus. And I had to say out loud, hey, I am on the chorus. And I almost had to check him. It was that bad, but I was playing, you know what I mean? I felt that I had that need to be me for a minute. You guys not even playing right now. He was trying, that's the problem. He was trying to strum. You're not even supposed to be playing right now. Let me do what I'm doing right now. It's not a show off moment, or that's not even, now that you know me now, that's not my character. I'm just trying to can I worship for a minute? You know what I mean? So it almost ended up being a situation because he felt that he could just talk to me any old kind of way. Hey, go to the chorus. Hey, you check your tone. It's challenging sometimes.
It is because I'm trying to hold my tongue. I am. I'm trying because this is your podcast. And and every week you be on Instagram talking about your comment got deleted or removed. So I'm trying not to get you in trouble, bro.
No, be real. This is what this is. You gotta be real.
So here's the narcissism part. There is an insecurity that goes with the CCM side of musicianship.
Right.
Where the too many notes equates to the evidence that there is a staunch difference between quality of musicianship. With that, you get moments where you have a singer say that when you play like this, then it throws me off. You have a guitarist say, I can't find the chorus.
Right.
And so in that moment, there's a translation that they don't understand, as if to say, I am not as solid of a musician as I think I am, because these embellishments should not throw you off.
Right.
Whatsoever.
Right.
You're saying that you don't understand the English language the same way that I understand the English language. What I'm doing right now is I'm articulating.
Right.
I am using bigger words than just these 2-syllable words that you're used to. And so at this point, is it my responsibility to dumb it down, or is it your responsibility to go challenge yourself to be more educated in my articulation? And I will never compromise my integrity for the sake of losing my articulation. It's not my responsibility to dumb it down. The only example I will say that's applicable is if I'm working with children. Because children, using this whole English example, are the ones that you would speak in smaller words so they can understand.
Yeah.
But if you are supposed to be my peer, it is your job to rise to my level, not my job to lower myself to yours.
This was a grown man.
Okay, then. That's not my problem.
So, yeah. I like that analogy too, because it is, people say, music is music is like, it's like a language in itself, right? Well, yeah, I mean, we're speaking the same language. Like you said, I just may have, a larger vocabulary. Catch up.
Yeah, you need to go
catch
back
up.
and check your dictionary.
Yeah.
I had the same thing. I was hate to keep using CCV. My very, very first weekend at CCV, there was a young man, and I was playing communion. I'm out there by myself. There's no one else on stage but me.
Wow.
He comes from backstage, comes out to the front on the talkback mic, which at the time I didn't realize was just a talkback mic because I had ears and I'm just now starting to get exposed to this part. So for a second, I thought he said this in the house.
Oh, really?
He walks out during communion. Reg, that's not what we do here, man. You keep it simple.
Really?
And I look around like, I know he didn't just call me out to the whole church. And then secondarily, like, why do you even care? You're not even on stage right now. Let me talk to God the way that I like to talk to God.
How'd you handle that?
It's funny because we use it as a joke for a couple of years after that. But the funny part about it, and this is where the spectrum, or the contrast of the spectrum is so important to look at. That same day, he's like, that's not what we do here. This is too complex. He was one of two worship leaders. It was him and another woman. The other woman, that same day, gave me her number and called me the following week to do a private gig for her outside the church.
Really?
So for him, this is too complex. Keep it simple. Blah, 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 blah. For her, this dude is dope.
Yeah.
I'm going to start using him.
Yeah.
Inside notes. Inside notes. Inside notes.
I don't even know if I should tell the story because if I tell the story, then some of your viewers will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Tell it.
Here we are. There's a church I used to play for that has, every year, they have a month-long pastoral appreciation.
A month long?
Month-long, the entire month. And in that month, there are guest speakers, guest churches, extra services, more rehearsals,
Right.
more music,
More money being made.
more offerings,
Right.
and a mandated above and beyond offering from the church
For members.
for members, which does not equate to additional compensation for the band.
Really?
They're giving more. We're doing more.
Right.
We're getting paid the same. Which is probably going to segue into another question.
I was just
I know you're
taking
going
us
to
into a whole nother day. You might have to come back tomorrow.
So I know we're probably going to get into that too. But I had a conversation with that pastor once, and I said, you realize that if you took all of the extra money, the extra revenue that is generated from this month-long parade for the last, let's just say 10 years, 'cause it's been longer than that, then you could have paid off the gym across the street that you wanted for 10 years or been debt-free for the existing mortgage,
Right.
expanded the campus, or taken care of all of the other little things that required the red thermometer on the wall.
Right. Right.
If you took what you made in that month-long parade and applied it towards the greater good, then all the things that you desired would have been taken care of.
Right.
But that's what sets us back. Because we have to have, in not all cases, but we have to have a pastor on the south side in the church whose annual budget is $250,000.
Right.
But he has to have a lifestyle that represents. And so I'm going to say this. You're a sports guy.
Big time.
You're an LA sports guy.
Big time.
When baseball players sign $500 million, $750 million contracts,
Yeah.
and the collective world says that is grotesque. When LeBron makes $45-50 million a year, but the franchise clears $5 billion.
Right.
And they don't understand that when LeBron goes to Oklahoma City, the ticket prices for that game are up 20%.
Right. Right.
The concession prices are up 10%.
Mm-hmm.
The local bars in the area
Right.
are full for the night.
So everybody makes money.
Everybody
off
eating.
of, everybody. Right.
Everybody's eating.
Right.
But for him to make $50 million, he's overpaid. He's grotesque. Shut up and dribble. I think somebody said on Fox News. That's another podcast because we can do the politics thing another day. Shut up and dribble. Even Dan Gilbert, when he went to Miami, basically called him a slave, felt betrayed, this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
After economically, he generated billions of dollars to that economy and only took away 40, 50 million. The other side of the coin is this. I feel like it's okay to pay your baseball player $750 if over 10 years he's going to generate $3-4 billion in revenue.
Easy.
You're making money off the back of his name.
Yeah.
You're selling jerseys for $150, $200 with his name on it.
Right. Right.
You're making a lot of money off the back of that person.
Yeah.
The other side of the coin is for these pastors who feel like they're entitled to this level of compensation, but their contribution to the church is imbalanced. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with a pastor needing a private jet to preach about a man who walked around in dirty sandals.
Right.
I have a problem with a guy who does not spread the wealth. I have a problem with a guy who has $1 million salary, but your musicians are making $400 a week.
Wow.
I have a problem with you having volunteer janitors. I have a problem with homeless people sleeping across the street from your church, but you make that kind of money. I have a problem with you preaching about a man who said, of all these things we do unto the least of them. I have a problem with Romans 5 saying that Jesus walked, now my pastor hat is on. I have a problem with Romans 5 saying that Jesus descended, not ascended, he descended.
Right.
And unto the lawless, he became lawless. Unto the sinner, he became a sinner. Jesus walked among us.
Right.
The only perfect one that we had walked among us. And to be set apart was not to be physically set apart, but it was to be in philosophy set apart. He said, I became all things to all men so that I could draw some.
Right.
So if the person that we're preaching about has been deliberate about not having a pedestal, I need you to make it make sense.
So what? Okay then. So you're even speaking as a pastor. So I can only speak as a musician. And that's why this conversation is interesting, because now, now you're on that other side of the fence, right? Remember I called you, remember it was one Sunday we were at the church and you and Desi came walking in. I said, oh, you guys, here come the suits. The suits come in. So you're, in a sense, you're one of the suits, right? So, you know what I mean? So do you see things differently now, being that you're not in my position? You're not a musician, like you're on the administration side of this thing. And my question has always been, like, why? I asked this question before, me and you and Ramon and some other people, I think Adam, were talking. I asked, the example I made was working at McDonald's versus being a church musician, right? So if I started playing in churches in the 90s and I made a certain amount, the same time somebody else starts working at McDonald's at the same time, it's been 30 years, right? It's been 30 years. That person at McDonald's is making a whole lot more than he would have made then, but that church musician is still in the same little window. Why is that?
I don't have the nice way to say this, so I'm just gonna
Say it straight.
Just like service-wise, we will pacify all of our shortcomings when we shout. We can come in late, drunk, high, straight from a hotel room.
Yeah.
We could have our wife on this side and our girlfriend on this side. We could come misrepresenting our craft.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Right.
And when they shout, we have now validated the service, so we are not incentivized in one way, shape, or form. We're not motivated to adjust, evolve, do better because they shouted.
Right.
And what we say is, oh man, we got through it.
Yeah.
So you know what happens the next week? We come in late, we come in high, we come in drunk. Girlfriend's on this side, wife's on this side, and they shout again, which means we are never ever pushed to do, be, strive for better.
Right.
The same mentality goes for what you just said. Why would I pay my musicians any more than what they're getting paid now when I've gotten away with underpaying them for this long?
Right. Right.
If it ain't broke, or if the wheel is not squeaky, then I'm not going to give it the oil.
So we're not squeaking enough. Why not?
Other than minute monetary, why are they not invested in us? Why are they not pastoring us? Why do we get accused of treating this like a gig when we are prostituted ourselves? We provide a service, they pay us. The only difference is they leave a check on a keyboard instead of a couple $100 bills on a nightstand.
Right.
There's absolutely no difference whatsoever.
Right.
Because if we don't perform, what do? They withhold the money.
Right. You're
In
right.
the same circumstance, if you underperform, the first thing they want to do is, I want a refund. I'm not going to pay you because the services wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know it's an extreme thing to talk about like our musicianship in the church and prostitution. Find me the difference.
Right.
Because no one has ever come to us and talked about how we file our taxes because we're contract musicians. No one has ever talked to us about all the things that they complain about us, about our lifestyle.
Right.
They don't talk about how they can supplement our income because they're not paying us enough. So we go out and we get other jobs, other gigs, secular music. They talk about us like a dog for going to pursue other things to live righteous lifestyles.
Right.
And then even if we are doing it where it doesn't conflict with the church by way of time or by way of integrity, then the other one applies.
Right. Right.
So the day that you have a regular job and you can't miss rehearsal, they will talk about you like a dog.
Right.
Okay, then pay me a salary that's competitive enough to make a living off of.
Well, I will have to go to that
Then I
job.
will have to go to that job.
Exactly.
And miss me about saying that more than $250 or $300 a week is too much because I know what your pastor's making.
Right.
Or I know what you're paying for when you bring in a guest speaker. Guest speakers make thousands. Guest musicians make hundreds.
That's crazy.
And how many times have you gone to YouTube and replayed a song versus a sermon? Hello.
Reggie, man, you set the bar pretty high for you the first guest. You set the bar pretty high.
I apologize if no one ever wants to come back.
But you did what's expected though. I wanted people to come and just be real and show what you're really passionate about, and you did that. Episode 1, Reg came through.
Yeah, man, this is good.
If you come through again, I have the organ sitting right here, so I can
so you can show me
you
something.
up a little bit.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So that's it.
Man, thank you.
Inside notes.
I want to say this real quick. It is an honor for you to consider for me to be the first, because I have so much respect for what you do and your resume and your legacy. So for you to consider me first is just like the pleasure is truly all mine.
I appreciate it. Appreciate
I love you,
it.
bro.
Appreciate you coming through.
Yes, sir.
For sure. I knew you would come through, but yeah, you came through with some gems. We gonna cut some stuff up, use some clips out of this.
Yeah, man.
You came through, Reg.
Let's
Appreciate you, man.
Good deal.
Cool.
Inside